Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Cosmos Collective. I am your host, MJ Valentine, and we are here with Lana Jago.
Yes. Great.
Who is one of my new friends in Bali and an energy healer, mindset coach, and all-out woo-woo queen. We did try to go live on Tuesday evening to do a live interview with you guys at the Cosmos Collective Facebook group, but unfortunately we've been having some technical difficulties. So sorry that the interview's come to you a little bit late, but it's going to be beautiful anyway. So we did get as far as Lana's doing a bit of an intro around what energy healing means and a little bit around Reiki and how we are all vibrational beings. We vibrate at energetic frequencies, which is something that we have talked about endlessly in the Cosmos Collective. So do you want to just pick it up there where we left off? You used a really good analogy, sugar cube.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're made of atoms. Obviously, everything we see around us, all solid, the things that we perceive as solid and stuff, made of atoms. Atoms are 99.9999% space, approximately. You know, rounding to 4 decimal places. And so, if we actually condensed now, and I may not get the exact fact right, but if we condensed all the atoms in the world, it would be approximately the size of a sugar cube in terms of solid matter. So the rest of it is space. The rest of it is energy. That's why, that's why our thoughts are so powerful in terms of the frequency we vibrate at. That's why energy healing works. That's all of that is because we are predominantly energy. Mm-hmm. We are predominantly space. So Reiki healing, and it's not, I don't do pure Reiki healing, but I guess that's the kind of the energy healing that most people are familiar with. Mm-hmm. So Reiki translates as God energy. Rei is God and Ki or Chi is energy. And so whether you believe in a God or not, it's the idea of universal energy or divine energy being channeled through. So the healer acts as a channel for the universal energy to come through to the other person. Mm-hmm. And shift what it needs to shift and clear what it needs to clear and heal what it needs to heal. But it works on that the fact that we vibrate, that we're vibrational beings.
Yeah, so it's more about I guess working with and healing that space you were talking about that makes up most of the atoms that make us human, right?
Yes.
As solid mass.
Yeah.
Because the idea that we're solid mass is one that we need to let go of. And that's why we talk a lot about, our vibration, keeping our vibe high and all of that. And I don't say that constantly because I think I look hot on camera. I say that because it's true. And that's why it's so important, right? To be aware of these things and to really work at keeping your vibration high. And if you're struggling with doing that, that's why working with an energy healer or a coach or someone that specializes in mindset work and stuff is so powerful, right?
Yeah. Because on a scientific level, so MJ mentioned in the first video which I had in take one, that I also have a master's in psychology as well. So I also have a very science background. And on a scientific level, it's actually quantum physics. So it has been proven that we do vibrate at certain frequencies, mm-hmm. and that the frequency we vibrate at actually impacts what happens around us. And so that's when people say, that's how law of attraction is, The Secret. Everybody kind of goes, so it's something like The Secret. Now, personally, I have never read The Secret. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you have.
It's not great.
But that's what people kind of know it as. But that whole law of attraction thing, and I don't think personally that that's the be-all and end-all of mm-hmm. this whole manifestation idea. But the basic premise is that, we vibrate at a certain level when we can raise our vibration, that actually our life, the circumstances around us, the universe has to shift to meet our vibration, to match our vibration. And that's quantum physics. That's actually scientifically, there's scientific evidence for that.
I'm trying to remember the name. It's like double slit theory or something in quantum physics. I have actually read about it. Like, I'm that much of a nerd.
There's a few really good writers that are actually quite accessible as well. Mm-hmm.
In terms of, you said keeping your vibration high and then having your reality match that high vibration in terms of the law of attraction and stuff, that works also if your vibration is low.
Absolutely. Yeah. So there's that whole saying, energy flows where attention goes.
Yes.
So what we put our attention on is what we attract and create more of in our life. So if you spend your time focusing on what's what's not going right for you, like what you're pissed off about, what you hate in your life, all that kind of stuff, that's what you're going to get more of. Whereas if you shift it, and even if there are only tiny things to begin with, to what you're grateful for and what's flowing and what's going right and what's abundant in your life, then that's where your attention goes, and that's where the energy flows to, and you will attract more and more of that.
Yeah.
So it's about taking notice of the small miracles.
Yeah.
Knowing that the more of those you're aware of, and the more you notice those and express gratitude for those, you raise your vibration, and you also shift the flow of energy to more of that.
And in raising the vibration, obviously, as we've just said, you call in things that match that vibrational level. I think something that a lot of people get stuck on when they're coming into this kind of theory and are interested in the law of attraction and don't quite understand how it works. So let's use finding a new partner, the love of your life, for an example. So it's quite easy to think, like, I'm so ready to meet the love of my life, and he's not here, and I'm so pissed off, but it's fine, like, I know he's coming, but like, I just really want to be in love, and I'm such a loving person, and I want to be in love, and it's coming from this place of lack.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So even though
what's missing in your life.
Yeah, so you could be actively thinking about, what does he look like, and the types of dates, and getting all, romantic about it, and then, maybe feeling a little bit sad, but, you're telling yourself that you're open to those experiences. But the phrasing and the way that you focus on that and what's missing in your life is coming from a place of lack. So then how does the universe respond?
So the universe doesn't, doesn't differentiate between I don't want this and I do want this. Like, the subconscious doesn't understand don't or like negatives. So essentially, if we are focusing our energy and our attention on something, the universe goes, oh, that's what they want more of. So if you're focusing on being lonely or focusing on the absence of a partner, the universe goes, that's where MJ's putting all her energy into. That's what she must want more of.
Yeah.
So we'll keep her that way. We'll give her more loneliness.
We'll give you more lack.
We'll give her more absence of partner. But I also, I guess when I said before, I don't believe that law of attraction or that kind of the whole secret stuff is the be all and end all. Like, I personally believe that that's a big part of it, and absolutely we can shift a lot in our lives by being aware of our words and our thoughts, because our words impact our thoughts impact our vibration. So it starts with being mindful of the words that you're using either out loud or in your head about certain situations, about your life, about yourself. And we can do a lot just with that alone. I also believe that there are energetic things that need to, obviously, I'm an engineer.
Yeah, obviously.
I'd put myself out of business if I didn't believe in that. There's some energy stuff that needs to go on too. So we can be doing all the work, but sometimes if we haven't healed or shifted or cleared some blocks that are there, then that's going to get in the way too. And so there's also a healing process that needs to happen to really free up the rest of it. And I also believe, and this is probably what people don't want to hear so much, there's an element of divine timing. That some of it's just beyond our control. And that, I think, was something, the part that took me quite a long time to accept. Like, I was doing all the work, and I didn't read The Secret, but I was doing all the manifesting stuff, and I was doing it, possibly some of it coming from more that kind of what's missing versus what I want to bring in. But also, and now looking back, I can see that actually there was a big element of divine timing there. That it wasn't my time. There were more lessons I needed to learn. There was more that I needed to go through. There was more growth to do. And I think there always is. But there was some stuff that just was probably never going to shift no matter what I did for a wee while, because it wasn't the right time for me.
Yeah.
And then when it did, boy, did it shift.
Yeah. Oh my God. I know what that feels like. When it rains, it pours.
So be careful what you wish for. And hold on. Do up your seatbelt, buckle up your seatbelt, and hold on, because when it does happen, it really does happen.
Yeah, because I know you and I have spoken before about the art of surrender, surrendering to the universe, divine timing. Lana has...
Oh, wait, where's the camera? No, you can't. I can't get it on the right angle.
But you have surrender
tattooed on my wrist. Yeah. So I got that tattooed on my wrist actually last time I was in Bali in July, which was when I decided to move back to Bali.
Yeah. Okay, so can you tell us... I really want to use your story well, I mean, it's so inspirational anyway, just from the circumstances, how you got here, who you're here with, and everything. So can you tell us a bit about how did you wind up here?
How did I wind up here? So I still ask myself the same thing on a regular basis. You can tell me, that would be great. No, okay, so I am here, I guess to start with, I am here by myself with my 2 young children. One is 3 and one is 6. So I am doing and I choose the word single mum now, not solo mum, because solo mum, I recognised that I was using that a lot, and that was only feeding the sense of having to do it all by myself and being alone. So I've chosen to switch my language around that.
Intentional
and I now
language.
refer to myself as a single mum, not a solo mum. But I am here as a single mum with my 2 kids. I only decided in July that I wanted to be here. In fact, July was my first visit ever to Bali. I left a marriage that was not really fulfilling for either of us. We'd been married 7 years, together 8 years, and the end of last year. It had been an ongoing work in progress. I was going to say masterpiece, and maybe not masterpiece. We have 2 beautiful children from it. No, it had been something that was ongoing. My children's father was someone I needed in my life for a long time because I needed to learn some lessons. And when I look back at some of my relationships prior to him, there was a similar pattern, and I had walked away from them each time and not learnt what I needed to learn. And so I really believe that there was a reason why we ended up getting married and having children and stuff, because for me, marriage wasn't something I entered lightly. We had conversations beforehand and talked about the fact that if we were going to get married, we didn't just walk away if it got hard, and all of that kind of stuff. So what it meant was that I made a commitment and I stuck in there. And while it was pretty harrowing at times, it also, I believe, meant that I learnt the lessons that I needed to learn and cleared that stuff that just kind of kept on coming into my life. But I did also have to get to a point where I had to really look at it and go, well, are either of us thriving, and is this still because I've got more to learn, or is actually this the end of our journey, this part of our journey together? And I still hadn't quite come to a decision on that when the universe just went and pushed me. Seriously, I did not have a plan. I had not decided that I was leaving the marriage. I had considered it, and I had thought maybe I need to get to a point. So to give you a bit more context, I stopped working when I had my daughter, who is now, she's coming up 7, and I hadn't earned an income since that point in time, and I still didn't have an income at that point. And so I was just getting to the point where I was thinking, maybe I need to look at kind of getting myself to a point where I could be financially independent if I needed to be, so that I felt like I had a choice whether I stayed or went. And so that was kind of where my headspace was at. It was kind of, maybe I'll give it 6 months, build the business, then kind of see where I'm at. And then, there was some stuff happened at the end of last year, and it was out my mouth before I really knew what I was saying. But as soon as I said it, I recognised in here that was actually absolutely what I needed to do and the right thing. So it was really like jumping without a parachute, just kind of massive leap of faith. So 2 young children, no income, and no idea how I was going to support myself, no idea where we were going to end up living. We owned a house together that was actually way out in the country, in a rural New Zealand. And so then working through all that stuff. Fast forward to July, we were actually supposed to be on a family holiday to Bali in August, and that had been booked last year. And as we got closer and closer to it, I was going to go on the same flights, go and help with the kids, then sort of we were just going to have turns looking after the kids and doing our own thing. As it got closer to the time, it really felt to me like I needed to actually go completely separately. And so 3 weeks before I ended up flying to Bali, I moved my flights to go by myself. 2 weeks before I came to Bali, I actually decided where I was going to stay and what I was going to do here and things. And a couple of days into my trip, I really got this overwhelming sense of actually this is where I need to be for a bit. And I've never had that anywhere else before. So I've travelled a lot, but New Zealand has always been home for me. I've never actually lived in another country. I've just visited them. And so this was the first time I really had this sense of actually this is really where I need to be. And it was kind of this, oh gosh, I'd love to live here for a while. And then I just had this light bulb moment where I was like, well, why not?
Why not?
Like, we'd actually sold our house. I was going back to New Zealand to pack up the house. I hadn't yet found somewhere to move me and the kids to. The area we were living in, where I thought I wanted to stay, there's not a lot of rentals there, and that's what I was looking for, was a rental. And so I'd just kind of been trusting and surrendering to the process and knowing that if we were meant to be there, something would come up. And so then I was kind of like, well, actually, like, I've got nothing tying me to New Zealand except for the kids. And if I can take them with me, then that's not an issue. So I wasn't sure if their dad would agree to me taking them, but I thought, if you don't ask, you don't get. So I messaged him and said, would you be open to it? And he said, yeah, sure. And don't think he realised I meant this year. So I didn't really add that detail
it's okay.
to the first message.
It's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is to ask for permission.
Well, then I called him a few days later and I was like, so here's the timing I was thinking of. He's like, oh, wow, like, you really, I was like, yeah, it makes sense to do it now. And he agreed to it. And so I went, I basically started the process once I got back to New Zealand of figuring out where I was going to live and how we were going to get there. And we flew out at the end of August. So it was literally probably 6 weeks later we flew over here. And here we are.
I just find Lana's story so inspirational. Like, it's crazy. And I know that most of you, if not all of you, will as well, because I know that people, we all tell ourselves the reason that we cannot do things, right? There's always a relationship, and like, how are you going to leave, or money, or like, I don't have enough and I want to start my business but I can't and I'm too scared, and like, there's children and there's joint bank accounts and there's leases and mortgages and marriages and whatever. But I feel like Lana is living proof that all of that shit is external, right? I mean, I don't know how to...
Yeah.
It has to come... The point that I want to make is that if you want something badly enough, and if there is a change that needs to happen, and you feel in your heart and your soul that you are being called somewhere for a reason, for a purpose, even if you don't understand it, if you're not sure, it's come up for a reason. And I believe that the universe puts us in those places and meeting those people and whatever for very specific purposes. Yeah. And it's about learning to tune in to that, to that energy, to the messages, and to the angels, or however you want to call it. And we don't use any specific terminology, as you all know. Yeah. But yeah, like, there doesn't have to be anything that holds you back. And I think it just takes a bit of courage sometimes.
Definitely takes so a lot of courage.
A lot of courage, yeah.
But I also think, like, that it's easy to look at where I'm at now and be like, oh wow, like, but I could never do that, and so I think what's really, for me, important that people understand is, even a year ago I couldn't have done either, right? So it's not like the me of a year ago, definitely the me of 2-3 years ago, but even the me of a year ago would not have done that. And I think when I first mentioned to my parents that I might do that, I think they thought I was just on a bit of a holiday high. And so when I actually phoned them and like messaged them and said, like, I've booked flights, the response I got was less than enthusiastic. Because my brothers, I've got 2 brothers, I'm the middle child, I've got 2 brothers, neither of them are married, neither of them have kids, like, they're the spontaneous ones, right? Like, I was always the quite, like, everything was fairly premeditated, it was planned, it was like...
The responsible one.
I was the responsible one, and particularly once I had 2 kids as well, like, I'm like, I'm the responsible one, I'm the one that has a plan, that knows where I'm going, that, does everything fairly structured, and and so... For me, it's been a real journey, and that's why I say that I think divine timing definitely comes into it too, because I recognised some time ago, number of years ago, that learning to let go and surrender a bit was a part of what I was here to learn in this lifetime. And I was doing the work, maybe a little reluctantly, but I was still doing it. And things were shifting, but really slowly. And then it was like the end of last year when I kind of say made the decision, but I'm not even sure that it was a decision, but like ended up leaving my marriage. It was just like suddenly everything just clicked into place, and it was almost out of necessity, because if I didn't learn to surrender, I'm not sure if I would have survived the year, because I would have just been in such a state of high stress, because there were so many unknowns in my life, that it was like I either had a really, really shit year, feeling incredibly stressed and incredibly worried, or I learned to let go and surrender. And because I've done that, I've actually probably had one of the best years of my life.
Yes.
But
yes.
it's part of my journey. And so if you're sitting there going, oh, well, that's all well and good for her, but I've got all this stuff going on, like, believe me, so did I.
And so did I.
Yeah.
Exactly, like
too,
a year ago. And you guys all know everything about my story. I've been very open and transparent about that. The last time I was in Bali was September last year. And, you know, I'd left my relationship that I'd been in for 2.5 years that I was extremely unhappy, and especially for like the last year, it was very, very difficult. My grandfather passed away, most of my friends left, and then I miscarried an unwanted pregnancy, and that was like a whole, you know, that's a whole thing all on its own. So by the time I got to Bali, I was a wreck. I was an absolute wreck. And, you know, for 3 days, the first 3 days that I was here, I couldn't leave the hotel room. I was like hyperventilating, having panic attacks on my own in a beautiful tropical island resort on the northern coast in Lavina. And like, all I could think of was like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Like, what? How did I get here? You know, and that was a year ago.
Yeah.
Just over a year ago. And the fact that, you know, we're both here and we're doing this, and, you know, the Cosmos Collective is happening, and Lana's here with her kids, and the kids are having an incredible experience here. And it's just, yeah, like, it's about learning to let go, as you said.
Yeah. And to trust, you know, one of my, so I use, with the mindset stuff, I use affirmations a lot, because affirmations are amazing for our thoughts and our vibration, and then sort of our mindset too. And so,
we use we have Mantra Mondays every Monday at the Cosmos Collective. You probably have seen.
Yes, I have.
So I like to choose mantras for myself, usually based on an experience or something that has happened to me in the week before or over the weekend, and I share them with the group, and I don't do it just because. So Lana is going to explain why mantras and affirmations are so important.
Okay, so when most of my affirmations start with I am, because when we use the words I am, we essentially harness the power of the divine within us. So we all have divinity within us, whatever your belief is about that.
God,
like,
source,
you know,
Shakti,
I mean, I'm the same. I don't
feminine.
use any. I don't subscribe to any particular one belief, other than there's a higher power of some description, right? We all have that. It's around us, yes, but it's also within us. So when we use the words I am, we harness that power. And we harness that power to create. So we say I am, and we, you know, you hear people all the time. Oh my God, I'm so broke.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so tired.
Oh my God, I'm so fucking
Oh my
pissed
God,
off.
I'm so busy. I'm so stressed. I'm so pissed off. I'm so depressed. I'm so whatever, you know.
I'm so fat.
And yeah, all of that. And they're harnessing that power of I am to create more of the same thing. Okay, so for me, along with becoming just more mindful of what I was saying and thinking, I actually started actively using I ams that really supported and empowered me, and created what I wanted for my life. So it wasn't coming from a place of what's missing. It's just of actually, what do I want to identify with?
Yes.
What do I want to bring more of in? And so every morning I write out some I am statements, and then I actually say them out loud and stuff as well, and I anchor them with essential oils and all sorts of crazy things.
I love that.
But one of the ones I love is I am exactly where I'm meant to be right now. Because it's so easy when we get onto the spiritual journey to do that comparison thing and to beat ourselves up, and we know that there are certain things we're supposed to be learning, like I said with my learning of letting go and surrendering, you know, and it was so easy to kind of look at where other people were at and be like, what is wrong with me? Like, why can't I get to that state of trust? Why can't I get to that point? And so I am exactly where I'm meant to be brings us back into that trust again, that our journey is our own personal journey. We all have our own journey, and all our journeys are different.
My grandma used to say that.
Like, all our journeys are different, you know, and no one journey is going to be the same, but your journey is exactly what you need.
Yes.
And what your soul has chosen for this lifetime, what your soul, like the lessons your soul needs to learn, the evolution your soul needs to be doing in this lifetime, that is what your journey is for. And so it's really coming back to trusting that you are where you need to be. The other one I like, which actually isn't an I am, but is my life is unfolding perfectly. And if you want to add on right now for my highest good, you can as well. But again, that comes back into that just real acceptance that wherever you're at is exactly right for you. That things, even if things feel messy and chaotic and ugly and confusing and all of those things, that is actually what you need right now for your highest good. It might not be in that moment feel particularly great, but it is actually leading you. And I mean, I had, like, the start of my year was fucked up. I mean, to be honest, I left a marriage, but then I had this ex-husband who was lying about stuff, who was going around telling people I was a bully and a tyrant, who was making some very questionable financial decisions and very questionable parenting decisions, all this stuff. Plus I had all this uncertainty around, how I was going to support myself, and all of, there were so many things. And a lot of people were just like, how can you be so relaxed about it all?
Yeah.
Like, how can you, they're like, oh, do you know where you will live yet? And I'm like, no, not yet, but something will come along, and it really came back to every day bringing myself back, reminding myself that where I was exactly where I needed to be, that what was happening was exactly what I needed for my journey and my highest good, and trusting and surrendering to that.
So then, with all of that in mind, what would you say to someone who, again, was like, okay, Lana, well, like, that sounds great for you, but I've tried affirmations and I look at my non-dominant eye in the mirror and I say I am beautiful every morning and it feels fucking dumb and I don't believe it and it's not helping.
Okay, so I'm a big believer in progressive affirmations. Okay, so sometimes we have an affirmation like, I am beautiful, for example, like, or I am lovable, right? Because that's another one a lot of people struggle with. I am worthy. Those are a few of the ones that people sometimes just go like, and they use them because they've been told to use them. Like, we're all told we need to work on our self-love and then, and our self-confidence and our self-belief. So we bring in these affirmations, but on some level, sometimes it's really conscious and sometimes it's much more subconscious. Something in our minds is going, you're fucking kidding me, like,
right?
Yes. Yeah. And so that's never going to work, okay? Because our subconscious can't actually integrate those affirmations. Right? So what I really love is if there's stuff like that you want to identify with and you want to bring more of into your life, but you've got this kind of big gaping hole between where you're at and this affirmation is the progressive one. So I am in the process of. So abundant, and that's another one, I am abundant.
I'm abundant and I have $4 in my bank account.
So I am in the process of becoming wealthy. I mean, abundance difference, because abundance can be all sorts of things.
Yes.
And I think that's one of those things.
Financially,
the more we can see abundance in other areas, the more we attract it financially as well. But yeah, I am wealthy. I am financially secure, whatever it is. And you're going, yeah, but you should.
Yeah, but I'm not.
Seriously, have you checked out my bank statements recently? So I love that I am in the process of becoming, or I am willing to be, or I love that. I am willing to.
That's so powerful.
So that particularly comes with things like I am beautiful, I am lovable, I am worthy. Like, I am willing to see myself as beautiful. So you might not yet, but you can surely, like, most of us could be willing to see it. Like, most of us can go, yeah, actually,
well,
I'm
people
willing
wouldn't
to
be trying affirmations or in
to.
groups like the Cosmos Collective and watching interviews like this if they weren't willing. So that's actually really interesting.
Willing to see myself as worthy.
Because that actually, it reminds me of, if any of you guys did the Leo New Moon Magic workshop a couple of months ago with me, we talked about, when we did mindset, about jumping up the energetic rungs or the rungs of the energetic ladder. And I talk a lot about, on a scale of 1 to 10 and starting the day at a 10. That's why we do magical morning practice. So this, my toolkit thing about making sure that your vibe is like super, super high. But if you start sliding down the scale, or if you just can't get there and you're starting the day on like a 6 or something, the aim doesn't have to be initially jumping from a 6 to a 10. It's about going from a 6 to a 6.5 or a 6 to a 7. And the more you practice doing that, the easier it becomes to jump from a 6 to an 8 or whatever, right? And then you're able to maintain that really high frequency and that high vibration and positivity all day. And then in doing so, attract similar things into your life. So that kind of tees up with the progressive affirmations too. So if you feel like you're at a 2 about your body and feeling comfortable in your body and the way that you look, it's not about affirming that you're at a 10, right? And I don't mean like a 10 out of 10. I mean, energetically at a 10.
We're all 10s at the end of the day.
We're all 10s. We are all 10s. But yeah, okay, so that's good. I like that.
So that's and so then you can get to a point where you can keep doing that one, keep doing that. Like, I'm willing to see myself as beautiful. I'm willing to see myself as lovable. Or I'm in the process of whatever. And then you get to the point where that feels really good and comfortable, and then you can maybe stretch yourself to, I am beautiful, or I am lovable, I am worthy. So it's stepping up the ranks again.
Yeah. It's I love that. Yay. Okay, so I did mention about the oils because I know that you're so super passionate about working with essential oils.
Don't know if they can
just grab a few. So behind me on the kitchen bench there is
with the dishes.
With the dishes.
Yeah. They are clean, but they just.
But we have beautiful. These are like 5 of how many? 50?
Yeah, and that's not all my collection either. I left them at home.
Okay, so tell us what drew you to working with essential oils, and what do you love most about them to start with?
Okay, so I guess to add another element to my story, and I don't know if you know this actually about me yet. I in 2003 was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. Which is, for those who don't know, that is an autoimmune disease where your immune system starts attacking your digestive system, which is not really cool. And I was diagnosed just before my 23rd birthday, and it was very mild, and within a few months it suddenly got really severe and my bowel nearly perforated. That's the short version of that story.
Oh my God.
I was in and out of hospital a bit and stuff, but yeah, my bowel nearly perforated from it, and so I ended up having major surgery to remove my large bowel and all sorts of things at the age of 23. So after a while, it was just I was on medication and everything. And I guess after a few years of that, kind of had enough, like it had settled down a bit more. And I kind of got to the point of thinking, actually, I don't want to be on medication for the rest of my life if I don't need to be. And so I started looking at exploring some more like holistic options. And so I was at a naturopath, and I ended up coming off medication and onto naturopathic treatments. And then I also went down a CrossFit route and got introduced to paleo eating, which is all kind of essentially around reducing the inflammation in your body and stuff like that. So I was doing that. And so it was a whole, that was kind of the beginning of my journey into holistic and natural health. And it's just progressed since there. It was, added on one bit at a time. So it wasn't like I went from just kind of everything conventional to everything natural and holistic. It's really been a journey of what's the next thing, and often not necessarily looking for it as just kind of things made sense. I started getting more conscious of what I put into my body in terms of food, and then it was a natural step from there to look at what I was putting on my body in terms of makeup and skincare and cleaning products around the house and things. So for me, the oils was just an extension of this journey. I'd been drawn to essential oils for probably a while, but I didn't really know anything about them. So I'd go to a shop and I'd buy a couple, and I'd get an oil burner and I'd put them in, and my house would smell nice for a couple of days, and then I'd kind of forget about them, or just not really know what I was doing, and so they'd go back in the cupboard, and that would be it. And so then when my youngest was weeks old, someone gave me some oils from a company called doTERRA, and they were so amazing. They were like nothing I'd come across before, and you can just, and I thought because that was 3 years ago now, I kind of thought maybe that was just I'd exaggerated the story a bit in my head. Because I was you could smell the difference.
That would be so unusual for an air sign to over-exaggerate.
You could smell, you could just sense the quality. And I was maybe that's kind of become a bit bigger in my head. But I introduced them to someone not that long ago, and they were wow, you can smell the quality. And I'm see, I knew I didn't make that up. So no, but you can, and they are quality. So they're, I only use those ones these days because they're tested. They go through something 52 independent tests or something to make sure that they are pure. There is no pesticide, there's no residue, there's no chemicals, and there's no there's nothing artificial in them. They are pure oils. And so when I'm using them with my children and for myself and stuff on my skin and internally and things, I want to know that they're pure, that I can trust them. So I was introduced to them, their impact. There was some stuff that was specifically, I was given some stuff specifically that would benefit the kids, and they did. They had such an amazing impact that I was just like, I rang this person, I was like, how do I get these?
Mm-hmm.
And so I have been using them ever since then, so for about 3 years now, to support myself and my family.
Mm-hmm.
We use it to support our physical health, I use it to support our emotional health and our spiritual health as well. So the physical health stuff is amazing, like they're amazing for that.
Could you give us an example, like, of something?
Yeah. Okay.
Many?
Many. So I guess there's one of the ones you happen to pull out here.
Huh.
It's one of my favourites. It's called On Guard. So this is actually a blend of oils that doTERRA create themselves, and it's their protective blend. So it's really supportive for the immune system. We actually use it daily for just general immune support, and then we kind of ramp it up a bit if there are any kind of bugs around, seasonal threats, all that kind of stuff, then we kind of ramp it up and increase our usage of it. So, and I still, it's like you were talking about your spiritual toolkit before. Like for me, it's a part of the toolkit. So it's like not like one thing does it all. But we're very rarely at doctors. My kids are very rarely sick, and when they do, they tend to kick it very quickly. Same for me. When I first had my daughter, I was sick all the time because she'd get something, I'd get it because I was run down, I was tired, all that kind of stuff. The last couple of winters, I've barely had anything, and it's never lasted, because I support myself in all sorts of ways, but also with the oils as well. So that's one of our favourites. My daughter last year got a wart on her big toe. We used oregano oil to get rid of it.
What?
Yep.
Oregano
oil.
Oh my god.
Yep. We got rid of it with oregano oil. She didn't have to take it to the doctor. She didn't have to get it burnt off with silver nitrate and all those things you do. Nothing's come back again since, and that was probably just over a year ago now. Oregano oil. Is tea tree. A lot of you guys will probably, people are familiar with tea tree, but tea tree has so many more uses than you think it does. So we've used tea tree for lice support for anybody with kids out there. We use tea tree for insect bites. We use tea tree for anything skin related. I have it in my face oil. I have a bit of tea tree in my face oil just to support general skin health on my face all the time. I have used tea tree and oregano to support skin infection on my finger, all sorts of things like that. So
and I just want to point out, so this was the On Guard, which was the protective blend that Lana just mentioned. The ingredients list on this is wild orange oil, clove bud oil, cinnamon leaf oil, cinnamon bark oil, eucalyptus oil, and rosemary oil. Right? So that's it. It's just completely all natural, pure oils.
Yeah. And all of them tested to make sure that they are just
high quality oils. So I have, like you, my foray into essential oils was basically going into like woo-woo shops and buying lavender oil and putting drops of it on my pillow and in my bath sometimes. And I think I had like a spell book that I bought when I was probably 15, and it was called How to Make Your Ex-Boyfriend Turn into a Toad. And I think I bought some kind of, I don't even remember what oil it was, but I made this little jar.
And there is an oil that can make your ex-boyfriend turn into a toad, to be honest.
It's not that powerful.
No, they're good, but maybe not that good.
But
the ex potentially is already a toad anyway.
Oh man, toads don't change their spots. But I'm particularly interested in essential oils at the moment, since we met and Lana introduced me to this, new idea, and I've spoken to you guys so many times about adding things into your spiritual toolkit, your vortex toolkit, or whatever, things that you're interested in and excited about and passionate about, and that are fun and interesting, and anything to keep your vibe high and support your self-development and spiritual growth. So with all of that in mind, I did mention that when Lana and I met, I was going like right in the middle of this kind of epiphany awakening thing that happened for like about a week. And it was like, it started with a conversation I had with a friend that triggered something that happened to me 8 years ago that I hadn't really thought of anything since. And then caught up with Lana, we had brunch and had this amazing chat about oils and whatever. And then I went to this cacao healing ceremony, and it was just like the whole week was just crazy. But in meeting Lana, she gave me a blend of tree oils. Is that right? The grounding oils?
Yeah.
Balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my favorites.
Yeah. So basically what it boiled down to, I think what we got to over the course of the brunch was that I had a psychological trauma that happened over the course of the breakdown of a very, very toxic friendship 8 years ago that has had a consistent impact on pretty much every intimate relationship that I've had since then, it happened in between my first boyfriend and my second boyfriend. And once I started digging, like, into my mind, which is scary, I realized that it was a pattern that had continued. So you gave me the oil blends to use. So I got one for self-love.
So there was one called Heal, which is actually one that I created myself, which is oils and crystal elixirs and orosoma and kind of universal energy.
I've been using it on my forearms.
Yeah, I have a set of 5 that I created myself. And then there's one of doTERRA's blends called Balance, which is the grounding blend.
The grounding one. So I've been using, you told me to use the Balance blend on the soles of my feet, so I've been getting up, having a shower in the morning, putting a little red flower as my offering to the goddess Lakshmi, who I have a statue of next to my bed for abundance, and then going out into the garden, doing a 15-minute free YouTube meditation, which is around healing the root chakra, which I believe is the chakra that's had the most impact through this trauma that happened, and then using the oils to support that, and also using crystals. So we won't get super into crystals because we're going to run out of time. But yeah, I've been using a combination of all of those things, and honestly, and the mantra. So Lana gave me a mantra to use, which has been like humming on repeat in the back of my head for 2 weeks, and I feel fucking awesome. Like, I feel like I have come leaps and bounds, and it's only been 2 weeks. Like, it's the speed at which this stuff works is incredible. And you also told me something about how the oil spreads through the body. Like,
so there's 3 different ways, and I won't go too much into it, but there's 3 different ways to use oil. So there's aromatically, which is when you smell them, and it's either smelling them from the bottle, smelling them from your hand, or putting them in a diffuser or something, and that's aromatic usage. There's topically, so we pretty much always dilute them when we're going to use them topically, but popping them on in really great places of the soles of your feet and back of your neck. And then there's like as a food additive or something, so putting a couple of drops. Some of them are safe to put a couple of drops in water or to use in your cooking. So when we use them aromatically or topically, it basically takes 20 minutes for them to touch every single cell within your body.
I was amazed when you said that.
So that's why they have such a powerful effect. The other thing, which a lot of people don't realise, so in terms of, say, like its effect on our cells, so if we're talking more of physical effect as opposed to kind of spiritual, emotional, is the oils can cross through the cell membrane, whereas like something like antibiotics, the reason antibiotics don't work on viruses is because viruses are within the cell, right? They're in the
nucleus.
I was
like, is that right? Nucleus?
They kind of sit within the cell, and antibiotics can't cross the cell membrane, so that's why they don't work on viruses. Essential oils can cross the cell membrane, so they go right into the cell, and so that's another reason why they have such a powerful effect. So they get spread, they get taken up, and they get spread right throughout the body really, really quickly, and then they can kind of work within cells as well as actually around them.
That is amazing. And this is going to be a gross analogy, but I'm sorry, I can't think of any other way. What it reminded me of was when I've given my cat a flea treatment before on the back of her neck, because they can't touch the back, but the very oily, actually, substance, I don't know if that has anything to do with it, which is like the thing that you part the cat's fur and put the line, or dog, put the line of the treatment in. And it says on the back of the packet that it starts working it kills every flea or whatever on the body within 10 minutes or something like that. So if you're doubting the authenticity or something of that fact, it's true. Like, that's what happens. The oils are absorbed through the skin, and then so within 20 minutes they've touched every cell
in the body.
So when you think of it in that way, they have an incredibly powerful impact on your health and well-being, right? Yeah. So Yeah.
And I love them. So they're, physical properties, we use them daily to support our physical wellness, but my real passion is supporting emotional and spiritual wellness with them, because I think that's where so many people these days struggle to know how to support themselves with that. And it's the beauty of them is that they're not masking anything. So I'm a big believer in actually sitting with your emotions. So when my kids are upset, I never just try and distract them from it. I sit with them while they process their emotion. I think there's too many adults like me running around who've always been taught to, just don't cry, everything's okay. And so then when we get to a point where we're experiencing these intense emotions, we're like, what do I do with them? I've never learned how to. So so I think it's really important that we learn to be with our emotions. And I don't believe in good or bad emotions or positive or negative emotions. I think emotions are just emotions, and they're just information for us. They're just there to teach us something or show us something. But we need to be able to sit with them to be able to do that. And so what's really important is that we support ourselves emotionally and physically while we do that. And that's what I love about the oils, is that they provide that support. I have a whole book on, it's called Emotions and Essential Oils. And it literally goes through every single one of the oils that pretty much all the ones you can get, probably not quite, but and all its emotional properties and some of the spiritual properties of them as well. And so that's what... that's the stuff I get really high on. Is that
geek
kind of
out on this
information.
stuff.
I totally geek out on this information. I was reading on the plane once, like a novel, reading this. But that's the blends that I made. That's what they're designed more as emotional and spiritual support. So that's what they draw on. Yeah.
I love that one that you gave me. I've been using it every day. It's so nice. Okay, so then just quickly, so for anyone that's just starting out on this mindset, spiritual journey, I guess, what could you recommend them in terms of oils? If there was going to be one or two, or I don't know, something that you could suggest for anyone that's new to this stuff, that was going to be open to experimenting?
That's a really hard...
I guess it depends.
Recommendation, because it really depends on what people's priorities are and what's going on for it. There are a standard kind of what we talk about, the top 10 oils, and so some of the starter kits that you can get, things like that, include these top 10 oils, and so some of them are single oils and some of them are the blends. And so there are ones from that, there's your lavender and your tea tree and your lemon and bits and pieces like that, peppermint and things. And so they're a great kit to have because they can support you physically and emotionally. You can draw on them for both. But then if you've got specific stuff going on or specific stuff that you want support with, then the recommendations might differ slightly. So it really depends on where people are at and what they're looking for with it. What I consider household essentials are basically peppermint, lavender, tea tree, oregano, lemon. So you got, I'm trying to think of the ones we usually kind of go through with the top 10. There's some of the blends as well, but that's only relevant to the brand. So people are looking at other brands.
But most of those are reasonably common. You can find. I know that you can find peppermint and tea tree oil in pharmacies. If anyone isn't able to get to doTERRA, but
I think the reason why I choose not to kind of harp on about it too much. The reason I choose doTERRA is because I trust them, because I know they're tested. The other thing I love about them is that all their crops are grown indigenously, so they're actually grown in the places they grow naturally anyway. A lot of oil companies grow their own stuff, and so they're also grown in artificial environments, whereas these are actually grown in the places. A lot of the oils come from developing countries, developing communities, and so doTERRA partner with those communities, and they train and they support infrastructure, and they do, they provide support around schooling and health and whatever else the communities need. So to me, going back to the whole vibration thing, to me that actually shifts the vibration of the product, because it's the energy that goes into it as well. So they're grown where they grow naturally, so they're in, the crops are grown in their natural environment, which I think improves the quality of it, then the energy that goes into the whole production of it all is really amazing too. And then I also know that they're tested so thoroughly that there is nothing that could be in them that is not just pure oil.
Yeah.
So for me, that's really important when I'm, when we absorb everything that we put on our skin, like everything goes in and is carried around our bloodstream. And, so that's really important when I'm using it on my kids. It's really important. And they are so potent that I want to know that they're good, that it's good stuff that I'm putting in.
Yeah.
So, by all means, if you don't want to get doTERRA ones, or you can't get through, get to it or anything like that, then you can go to shop and get some, but just be really selective about the oils you choose, and find out as much as you can about the
where
brand
the ingredients
and where they're from and what goes into them, and make sure that they're tested. And so doTERRA have their own certification. They go beyond organic because they source from a whole lot of different places, and the criteria for organic varies wildly, and sometimes it's actually very corrupt, and as long as someone pays, they'll get it, and if they don't get it, and all that kind of stuff. They actually they bypass that completely, and they go for certified pure therapeutic grade CPTG, and so that's their testing that they do on it. So, but whether you have that or not, but you just want to know, you want to make sure that you thoroughly research anything, because when you're putting this stuff into your body, it's going right throughout your body. So just making sure.
I feel like that goes for just about everything that we have talked about tonight.
Pretty much.
Like whatever you're thinking, whatever you're putting on your body, bringing into your experience, it goes all the way through you, all the way through every single cell, every single atom, all the space in between, right? Yeah. Oh man, this was fun.
It was awesome.
Lana, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Tell everyone, where can they find you, and where can they find doTERRA?
Okay, so you can find me on social media. So I am active on Instagram and Facebook. Instagram, I'm Lana_Mandala, and Facebook, if you pop in Lana Mandala, you should find me, or the handle is Lana Mandala NZ. Somebody else had already taken Lana Mandala and all things.
How dare they?
So social media is probably the best place. And then if you're interested in doTERRA, then also get in touch. So I am doing everything remotely from here anyway. So I'm doing energy healing remotely. Believe it or not, you can actually do energy healing with someone on a Zoom call. Actually, they don't even have to be on a Zoom call, but it's just the way I work is quite interactive. So I am doing sessions remotely. I can do educating about oils remotely. I can do all of that stuff remotely. So if you're interested in any of it, then please do reach out. I also have a website, which is lanamandala.com, and so you can contact me through there as well.
Awesome. Lana, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure.
Awesome.
It's been so
Thanks,
good.
Thanks, guys, for watching.
Thanks, everyone. I will be back soon. I'm really enjoying doing these interviews, and I already have the next one teed up, and I'm so excited. All right. Thanks, everyone, and we'll be chatting to you again real soon.
Bye.
Peace. Cool.